cash back on any purchases from American citizens. And not only that, they're going to give you 280 hours of visa-free entry into China to go shopping. No paperwork, nothing to do, no visa needed. You can just go to China and buy whatever it is you want. They said if America wants to try to keep American citizens from buying foreign goods, good luck. Because not only can you come here and buy the same shirt that you would buy in America for $40, and buy it there for $21, they also took away all prosecutions from fake brands. So they used to prosecute retailers who were making knockoff brands. They said, not anymore, honey. You can come buy all you want. They're not prosecuting any of their citizens for making knockoff brands like Nike, Versace, Gucci, none of that shit. And now they're going to give you 280 hours travel free to come on over there and buy whatever it is you want with a 13% instant cash rebate. I think y'all fucked around with the wrong one, man. I can't even hold you.
So China just spilled the beans and said all of these luxury companies, Versace, Gucci, Chanel, Nike, Burberry, Victoria's Secret, all of these companies get their shit from China and just slap a label on them. Wow. I want to know, for the girls who have been paying full price on their shit for these different brands, how does that make you feel? Are you still willing to still support these companies, or are you now going to go and purchase it from China? Like, I want to know, because I remember there being a whole topic on TikTok about DHgate and them having fake items versus real items. Like, this is real crazy, but it's really interesting because China say, I don't give a fuck no more. We spilling all of the beans. We telling all of the stories. America, you won't win with this. All because y'all tried to play in their face. China say, we cannot be fucked with. And I love that for them. Like, whoa, let me know what y'all gonna do. Are y'all still gonna be banned from these high-end places, or are y'all going to China websites or DHgate or whatever else is out there for me to purchase from? Let me know.
I just had the most unhinged response to Trump's tariffs, and I guess the Chinese government has our best interest at mind more than our own government does. So China has responded not with hostility towards American citizens, but by expanding the new tax refund nationwide for tourists. And so what this means is, let's say you'd pay $100 for goods here in the United States, Chinese goods. With a 145% tariff on that, now all in, you're in for $245. Or you could just go to China, go shopping, and then with the instant refund, only pay $80 for $100 worth of goods. What we're seeing here is China is really starting to open up to the world and focus on making their country very tourism friendly. And basically with this whole thing, they used to have a tax refund situation before, but they're just looking to make it much easier, and you would get the refund instantly at the store instead of at the airport on your way out. China is absolutely beautiful. It's so different being there than from anything you've ever heard here in the United States, and the country is making huge steps towards making the country more attractive and accessible destination for international tourists. So this is a place that genuinely will care about the well-being of the tourists that go there. I think it's an extremely safe country. Also, China has opened up visa-free for U.S. citizens for 10 days. And you may be thinking, a trip to China seems a little bit out of my price range. That seems so expensive. But let me show you something. A flight around $799. And if you're going to Shanghai, you can stay in a 4-star hotel right near the airport for as low as $29 per night. You're looking to spend at around $1,000 on the trip, but if you do all the calculations on how much the tariffs would cost you, if you're looking to spend $680 on Chinese imported goods in the next year, then this trip is for free. And I mean, would you rather go on a free trip or give your money to Donald Trump? And pro tip, when you go shopping in China, all the stuff is a lot higher quality, because a big reason why a lot of the stuff we get from China is so low quality is because we have these Amazon FBA bros in the middle that are just trying to scam us and get products for as cheap as possible. Shopping in China is nice.
And there you have it. First and foremost, I give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai Ba'Hashem Rakakwadash. Yahweh is who this world ignorantly calls God. Yahweh Shai is who this world ignorantly calls Jesus. Ba'Hashem means in the name. Rakah means spirit, and Kodash means holy. And that's all in the Paleo Hebrew. Also, to give double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. So, as you saw in this video clip, titled "China just spilled the beans on Babylon, circling the drain has just sped up even faster for Babylon," right? And the brother put some clips together showing you that China essentially is luring in American customers to go to China and shop for a way cheaper price. And ultimately, there is going to be people that go to China to shop. But, at face value, what this is China separating from America, right? It's China being pissed off at what America is doing. Because essentially, what's happening is that America is being a big bully, right? America is just bullying all these other nations. And these nations are getting tired of it. Let's get the scripture, the prophecy that goes into that. This is Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 7. It says, "Babylon hath been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad." Right, and that wine is symbolic for philosophy. Right, the other nations have drank of the philosophy of America, which is westernization, aka Americanization, which is ultimately wickedness. Okay, and in order to, play ball with America, sell their products here, have those connections, they had to, dabble in a little bit of that philosophy. Just a little bit. They had to dabble in it. That's why when you go to America or when you go to China, you'll find all types of, American franchises over there. You'll find the McDonald's, you'll find the KFCs, the Popeyes. That's that wine that the nations have drunk of. But the thing is that, the nations have drunk of the wine, but hey, the nations are realizing now that that wine is actually poisonous, right? The American philosophy, which is wickedness, is poisonous, and it doesn't benefit you at all. These so-called Arab nations are realizing that, once their little boys, their little daughters, start tuning in to the Western media, that all of a sudden their little boys want to be, gay. All of a sudden, their little girls want to be like Meg Thee Stallion, like Cardi B, like Ice Spice, right? Prostitutes, harlots. And they're realizing that, that's not conducive to a family at all. And ultimately, it's destructive. So that's why, the nations are mad. They're realizing that America is not acting in their best interests, right? America is just using them for resources. So when you go into, what China is happening, China has realized that for a long time. And, recently, they're starting to pull the plug, right? They're starting to really turn things up. And it all started with what this guy, DJ Trump, did, right? Putting tariffs on all these nations, and you had nations that just, bent the knee, are doing what DJ Trump said. But you have nations such as China that are not going with it, right? This is a key point in history, what we're seeing right now. Okay, these nations are separating, and there's gonna get a time, and point where every single nation realizes this place is the cancer of the earth, and every single nation is going to shoot nuclear missiles over here. Right? You heard that right. Right? That's prophetic. Every single nation, even America's allies, right, NATO and EU, are gonna realize that America is not acting in their best interests. And a perfect example of that is when the UN would come together over this Israel-Hamas conflict. right? When this whole Israel Hamas conflict started, you find that they had a pretty much a vote, and all the nations voted. Okay, they voted whether to keep going or to stop, and all nations outside of Israel and the United States voted to stop. The United States and Israel were the only nations that said, nah, we're going to keep it going. And that's why we're in this predicament right now. Okay? The U.S. and Israel, they're acting in their own interests. So these nations have realized that. They've realized that, you know, America is not trying to be, a good country. America is just trying to borrow, take. And ultimately, that's why this place is going to go down. Right? This is a wicked ass empire. So, I quoted going into how all nations are going to turn on this place. So when you go into Revelation chapter 17 and verse 16, right, and when you go into Revelation in general, and it talks about the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, right? The 10 horns is symbolic for NATO and EU, right? And the horde that's set upon that beast is going into America. Now I've done videos going into that, at a deeper length. You just have to search up my channel, Revelation chapter 17 breakdown. But I'm going to just keep it at face value. The 10 horns is going into NATO and EU. It says in verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. Right, so it's the Most High's will to make all this happen. And he's going to get all these other nations, the 10 horns, the NATO and EU, to shoot fire, burn the whore America with fire, desolate and naked. So there's going to be something, a key event, that makes every single nation on the earth turn on this place. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but America is going to make such a ignorant decision that everybody's going to realize, nah, we can't go with that no more. So, hey, we're telling you right now, when that day comes, it's the prophecy. And, it is going to come. That's the most beautiful thing. The most beautiful thing is that, hey, we're speaking these words into existence, right? We have the heads up of what's coming. We're not in darkness as other people. We're in the light. We're in the no-so. And we're watching carefully every day, analyzing the times. So when, we start seeing these prophecies pop off, we're not caught surprised. We've been waiting and expecting for all this to take place. That's why, when the brothers see videos such as this, this actually lifts your spirit up. Because you're realizing that, hey, Babylon is circling the drain. And the faster this kingdom falls, the faster the kingdom of heaven is established. Now, I'll get one more scripture, and it's going to go into how, what this is leading to is division, right? Because, as these nations start separating, they're going to have their valid reasons why they're separating, okay? And that's going to be spread throughout the news. Hey, you're going to see news articles going into how, Turkey leaves NATO. You're going to see news articles going into how, China just dumped the U.S. Saudi Arabia has done is cut connections with the U.S. And they're going to have their reasons. And when people look at the reasoning as to why these nations are leaving, they're going to realize, that actually makes sense, right? And a lot of the people here in America are going to have that, negative mindset or negative view towards America itself. And that's going to lead to division, even more division, right? So let's get that as 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 16. It says, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Right, so there's going to be a time where we have sedition among men. Which if you don't know what that word sedition means, sedition is a crime involving inciting a rebellion or violence against the government with the intent to overthrow or destroy it. Right, and that's exactly what we're going to start seeing. Right, you're going to have these hardcore, nationalist Americans right now talking about how they're with DJ Trump. Yeah, these same people are going to realize that DJ Trump is not acting in their best interests, and these same people are going to be the ones that try to overthrow the government. Right? They're going to go to the U.S. Constitution and talk and go into the points about how America is led by the people, and we the people have the power to change the laws and the legislations. But what they don't understand is that the people up top are not running by the U.S. Constitution. The people on top do not care about laws and legislations. What they care about is power. And they don't care about, what the average American has to say. They don't act in the interest of the average American. They act in the interest of themselves and how they can gain more power and control over the masses. So, people are going to start realizing that. They're going to start realizing that America is not acting in its people's best interests, and that's when they're going to get that sedition. People to come in against the government. Now it says, and invading one another, they shall not regard the kings nor princes, right? They're not going to care about the president, the senator, any authoritative figure. It says the course of their actions shall stand in their power, right? So everybody's going to do whatever the hell they want to do, right? And it's going to be a survival of the fittest type world, right? When you see all these purge movies, you see all these apocalyptic movies, that's exactly how it's going to be, right? Those movies are literally predictive programming as to what this world is going to become. And the scariest thing is that you see these purge movies you think is scary. Guess what? In that day that end Jacob's trouble, it's gonna be 10 times worse than that. So, that's why, fearing the Lord, having faith in Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai is the most important thing, because that's the only thing that's gonna get you through that day. Is pure faith. So, we're living in some beautiful times, right? Beautiful, beautiful times. And you got a brother right here saying, basically China is saying, we don't care, Babylon, about your tariffs, right? These nations don't care about what America does anymore, right? Because they're ready to fully separate. They're ready to just fully abandon this place. So, Lord willing, the Lord speeds that up. But I'll leave it there. Hopefully this is edifying. Went down to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors to the outer bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Shalom to elect. Shalom.